Hi, I am Dr. K. Sai Prasad Reddy. Welcome to the subject software testing. And this is part 2 of interview questions, screening test questions, frequently asked questions, ISTQB model questions, and multiple choice questions. These questions are very important for the competitive exams, and some companies, before conducting face-to-face interview, they will conduct a screening test also. So these are all the probable questions that will occur in these type of exams. Now, these are all the questions regarding review, walkthrough, and inspection. Let us see. Which typical defects are easier to find using static instead of dynamic testing? So these are all the defects, type of defects, which are easier to find using static testing, like reviews, walkthroughs, and inspections instead of dynamic testing. See, option A is the correct one because deviation from standards will be found during static testing instead of dynamic testing. Requirements defects, that is the defects which are present in the requirements documents that can be found during the review of BRS document or SRS document. Insufficient maintainability, we have to find that insufficient maintainable requirements and incorrect interface specifications. Where we will get these interface specifications? These interface specifications we will get during the integration of the components. Before testing this integration testing, you have to do the static testing on this interface specifications. So all these 4 options are correct, right? The next, which statements correctly describe certain activities of a formal review? So these are all the activities of the formal review. Which statement is correct combination? That we have to find. Now see, these are all the options. Option C is wrong. Option B is wrong. Option A is wrong. Option D is the correct one. See, first we will discuss option D. Personnel selection occurs during the planning phase. Fixing defects found happens during the rework phase. That means during the planning phase of the review, they will identify and they will select the persons who are supposed to review the documents. That during the review process, the review team will find the defects and they will report the defects. Who will fix the defects? Fixing the defects are nothing but resolving the defects or correcting the defects in the document. Who will do this fixing the defects? That concerned author of the document. When he will do this fixing of the defects? During the rework phase. Option D is correct. Rest of all these 3 options are wrong. Next, in a formal review, who is primarily responsible for the documents to be reviewed? This is a tricky question. You have to understand that question. Here, who is primarily responsible? Maybe all the team members may be responsible. Out of all these team members, who is primarily responsible for the documents that is supposed to be reviewed? See, author of the document, option A is correct because author will design the document. After successful completion of designing the document or writing the document, before sharing that document to the review team for the review purpose, he will review the document once and then he will share the document for the review process. So that's why author is a primary responsible person to review the document. I repeat, as soon as completion of the designing of the document, before sharing that document to the review team, author will review that document first. So that's why he is the primarily responsible person to review the document. Right? Reviewers will review also, but these are all secondary things, secondary persons. Next, Which test requires the execution of the software component? Software component means some small piece of code, some small unit of the code, right? That is component. Now, these are 4 options: formal inspection, dynamic testing, code walkthrough, execution testing. See, which test requires the execution of the software component? That means if you wanted to execute that particular component, if you wanted to execute some piece of code, which test among these is required? Formal inspection. Formal inspection is nothing but static testing, where execution will not happen. Dynamic testing. Yes, here the execution will happen. Code walkthrough is also a static testing where that execution will not happen. There is no type of this execution testing. To misguide, he has given the option D, execution testing. Because in the question, he has used the word execution. So, that's why here he has given the execution testing to misguide the students. There is no type of this execution testing at all. So, out of all these options, option B, dynamic testing, is correct one, right? Yeah. Next, which of the following statements are true? So you have to identify the sum of the statements which are true in these 5 options. See, defects are likely to be found earlier in the development by using the review rather than the static analysis. That means defects should be identified in the earlier in the development. What is the early stage of the development activity? Requirements gathering. So, option A. Next is walkthroughs require code, but static analysis doesn't require code. Option C. Informal reviews can be performed on code and specifications. Option D. Dynamic techniques are generally used before static techniques. Option E. Dynamic techniques can be only be used after code is ready to be executed. Now you have to identify the you have to identify the statements which are true. See, option E is true because after successful completion of static only we will do the dynamic. So here, when the dynamic will happen, when dynamic testing will happen, if and only if the code is ready to execute. If and only if the code is ready to execute, then only we can execute that code. Execution of the code is nothing but dynamic. Next, option C. Informal reviews can be performed on the code and inspections. Yes, because reviews, either it may be formal or informal, reviews can be performed on code. That is why it is called as code reviews. And these reviews can be performed on the specifications of the document. Then it's called document review. So either it may be formal or informal, but both can be implemented both on the code and the specifications. Option A. Defects are likely to be found earlier in the development by using the review rather than the static analysis. Right? What is the earlier stage of the development life cycle? Requirements gathering. So that is the first stage, that is the initiation of the project, that is the starting point of the project, that is the starting phase of the project. You have to identify the defects there in itself during the review process. See, dynamic techniques are generally used before static techniques. It's wrong because first we have to do the static techniques. After successful static techniques only we have to go for dynamic techniques. The next, walkthroughs require code, but static analysis does not require code. Yes, walkthroughs require code, but static analysis also requires code. So that's why option B is wrong. Next, which of the following statements is not true? Is not true. See, some of the statements are true and some of the statements are not true. Not true means false. You have to identify the statements which are false. That's all. See, These are all the options. First, see, option E is wrong. Why it is wrong? Inspection compares documents with the predecessor documents. No, it's true, right? Yeah. The next is managers can perform inspections on management documents. Yes, they will perform, but he has given the option false. That is not true. These are all true. Inspection should be led by the trained leader. Yes, this is also true. You have to identify the not true statements. Next, inspection is the most formal review process. See, inspections are always informal. Inspections are always informal. That is, all inspections are unofficial, unplanned. And next, this is only the not true. Inspection is appropriate even when there are no written documents. This is not true. This is false, because if and only if the written documents are there, then only you can do inspection on the document. Otherwise, how can you do the inspection? So option D is the correct one. That means option D is false statement. You have to identify the not true. That means false statement. This is this type of questions only for confusing the student in the exam. That's why you have to understand that question thoroughly. See, before going to these options A, B, C, D, you have to read the questions once and twice to understand in a better way. Then only you can choose the options easily and comfortably and correctly. Next, which of the following is an example of static testing? So, it has given the testings here. You have to identify the static testing. What are the static testing techniques? Simple: reviews, walkthrough, inspection. Here, where that reviews, walkthroughs and inspections, and which option is there, you have to identify. So, usability testing, requirements review, yes, this is a static testing. Usability testing is a dynamic. Performance testing is a dynamic. Calculating the path coverage using tools is also dynamic. Right? Only the requirements review is a static testing. Next. Which of the following statement lists the main advantage of reviews over testing? Testing means dynamic testing. Which of the following statement lists the main advantage of reviews over the testing? That means you have to identify the advantages of reviews over testing. Now, see, these are all the options A, B, C, D. You have to identify the win. Clear allocation of roles to review members. Confidence that the participants are familiar with the subject. Right? Next, no need to write a specific plans for reviews. Code reviews can save the white box testing. Next, no need of specific tools. Lower risk verification, better classification of detected defects. Yes. Low cost of defects detection, enhancement of code and documents quality, identification improvement opportunities. You have to see the advantages, not other things. Out of all these four options, option B is only having the advantages of reviews than testing. These are all the other things are the objectives. Right? Yeah. Which of the following statements about reviews is true? See, these are all the options A, B, C, D. See, reviews should be performed on specifications, code and test plans. So that means reviews can be performed on the specifications. That means on the requirement specifications. Either it may be a BRS document or SRS document. And the reviews are also performed on the code. That's why these are called code reviews. Test plan is also one of the documents of the project. All the documents of the project, including small piece of paper, also should be reviewed. So, test plan is a document of a project. Code specifications. Specifications is also nothing but a document. So that's why option D is correct. Reviews are unlikely to find the faults in the test plan. No, this is reviews are likely to find the faults in the test plan, but it has given unlikely. That is why this statement is wrong. Because reviews will find the defects. Reviews are likely to find the defects, not unlikely. Next, reviews are the least effective way of testing code. No, it's wrong. It is more efficient, more effective. That means during the code reviews, you will find the mistakes in the code. You will find the mistakes in the syntax. You will find the mistakes in the logic. Those are more effective, not least effective, right? Next, reviews cannot be performed on user requirement specifications. Yes, sir, reviews can be performed on user requirement specifications, because user requirement specifications are nothing but the business requirements, the client requirements. Next, which of the following statements about roles in a typical formal review is correct? That is, what are the different roles in the formal review? That is manager, moderator, reviewer, author, scribe. These are the 5 roles in formal review. Now you have to identify the statement which is correct about the roles in the formal review. The author documents the problems and open points. Manager allocates the time in a project schedules. Manager is responsible for planning the review. The moderator determines if the review objectives have been met. Which is the correct option with respect to role. See? Moderator determines if the review objects have been met. It is not his responsibility. He will make sure that review meeting will go successfully without any deviation of the topic or agenda. Next, manager is responsible for planning the review. So, that is, the planning of the review will be done by the moderator. Just manager will raise a request to moderator to plan the review, and the manager will allocate a schedule in the project for the review process. The option B, yeah, manager allocates the time in a project schedules. Right? What do you mean with the schedule? Schedule is nothing but the starting date and end date, starting time and end time. The author documents the problems and open the points. Who will do this? Author is not responsible for documenting the problems and open points. Scribe will do this one, not author. So, which is the correct option? Manager allocates the time in a project schedule is the correct option. Why option A is wrong? Because documenting the problems and open points is the responsibility of the scribe, not author of the document. So, please subscribe my channel, share my video sessions to your friends and the student groups who are trying or we are searching a job in the IT industry, and please like my sessions, and please post your comments in the comment box regarding my sessions. Thank you very much.